these budget cuts are killing us. Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today we're taking a look at the Hasbro Ghostbusters Plasma Series Egon Spengler. Okay, right out of the gate, I usually do whole waves at the same time, but even after my initial excitement of getting a Ghostbusters line from Hasbro back at Toy Fair, I didn't put any pre-orders in because I was thinking, oh man, there's Star Wars, there's Marvel, there's Transformers, and while I like Ghostbusters, it's not one of my top favorite movies ever. In fact, my 15-year-old son is a bigger fan. He's been watching those movies since before he could probably remember first watching it. So I've never been a super fan. But saying that, I am a fan. And I thought, oh, I'll dip my toes in to see if, because after skipping the Mattel, the Diamond Select versions, I thought I'll give it a shot, see where it goes, and if nothing else, I have my favorite character, Egon. And if I like it, I'll get the rest. That's just how it works, right? I mean, yeah. Looking at the package, I love how this thing's designed with the Ghostbusters theme just overall. You see the zipper coming down, it continues up over the top like a uniform. There's a texture pattern coming around. Window, it shows everything you get in there. I love how the red and black background just makes the figure stand out. And then you gotta have a Ghostbusters logo somewhere. Warning, don't put them in your mouth. On the side, kind of a techie look to it. On the back, the other figures in the series, the Build-A-Ghost with Vince Clortho. Little bio of Egon, and then a whole lot of legalese and warnings. On the other side, I love this. I need a poster of this. On the top, again, window, texture. On the bottom, more of that, more legalese, UPC. Let's get this open, see what's going on here. A lot of little tabs holding everything together here. There's Ecto 1, there's the backpack. It's impossible to mess with this without a theme song going through my head. And you know what theme song that is. But all the little details are there. It may be lacking in paint, but we'll get to all that. The jumpsuit's nicely sculpted with the pockets and the seams and the folds and the wrinkles, like a mid-80s jumpsuit would look. The zipper sculpted all the way down to the crotch area. Here's more wrinkles. It's a plain design. This is an action figure based on a fairly simple real-world costume. Most of the excitement when it comes to the look here is both the actors' heads and then all the equipment hanging off of them. But it does have the elbow pads here on the back just to break it up a bit. The boots with the laces sculpted in there. The gloves, about the same amount of detail as the boots, same color and everything. But because of the simplicity of the actual costume, again, I'm talking about just the base uniform, I think it would have been ramped up a little bit with some paint washes. Something to bring out that detail, to maybe dirty it up just a little. Or some scuffing on the boots, a dry brush, because the details just get lost in the plastic. There is another color painted right here to simulate the wrap coming around to hold the elbow pad on. But the tampos are nice, like the Spengler name badge on the front of the uniform, and then of course your Ghostbusters logo here on the shoulder. And again, that's taking nothing away from the sculpt of the figure itself. It's just, it needs something to make it pop a little bit more. The belt is a separate piece, and this is where the paint apps went. You have the walkie-talkie sculpted in this holster on the right hip. It doesn't come out, it's just there. Then this pouch with the cable coming out and around to another part of the belt, and then the yellow line running down to the leg. So like I said, the belt is loose, but you can't get too far. Well, I mean, who wants to rotate the belt all the way around? It is attached down to the leg. And at first I thought I could pull it out, but it looks molded or glued there. But get up to the head, and when I first saw pictures after the initial release of these, I thought, oh, what happened to the likenesses? But getting it in person, getting it in a little shadow, not quite bright lights, I feel like the likeness is there. This looks like Harold Ramis. I do believe they are using photoreal, but one thing that helps this likeness is the glasses. They actually sculpted the glasses to the head. Usually when we see something like this, it's a separate piece and it never quite looks right. Here, I feel like this is the best way to go. Although you do get this, where it looks like the skin is coming out to meet the glasses on the sides. But from most angles, that's not really noticeable. The hair, perfect Egon. Again, I wish there was a wash here, but it's not the glossy black, so the details aren't as lost as it is, well, with the boots. The elbows and knees, for some reason, right out of the package, they were tough to move. But once I got them moving, it hasn't been a problem since. I don't know if it was very big detents or well, it wasn't paint, of course, but it was something holding them in. Going over articulation, there is a dumbbell joint up in the neck that gives it some up, some down, that likes to kick back up a little bit. Not bad tilt. Swivel, I don't think the bottom of the neck is articulated. As you push forward, you can tell it's a separate piece, but it doesn't really move. Butterfly joints at the shoulders, so you can go forward, you can go back. Hinge at the shoulder comes up to there, rotates all the way around. Swivel at the bicep. Double elbow comes, well, all the way up. And that's especially nice for a baggy sleeve like that. Swivel at the wrist and then up and down because of trigger finger. Ball joint hidden by the belt, so you get some hula hoop action. I like that it doesn't break up the torso like this, but at the same time, not really natural crunch. Some back, some tilt, some tilt. Ball joint coming out to the hip, comes forward, goes back. Out, not too terrible. There's a swivel at the thigh. Double knee, oh, not a problem at all. Bing! Hinge at the ankle goes back, forward, a couple clicks, and then forward facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Egon comes with his PKE meter. It has a few sculpted details, and then the screen is painted green, but other than that, it's a little bitty chunk of plastic. There is a pin on the back of the handle, and that plugs into the belt right there. It makes me wish that these retracted or moved at all, because I don't think those should be out when hanging on the belt, but at the same time, it's a tiny piece of plastic. When you pry the hand open and push the PKE meter in, be careful not to snag that peg on the back either. Kind of there, and then turn it in. And then there is the pack. I like that the blues and the reds stand out against the black of the plastic, and then this cable running down is a painted gray. But it's a good looking sculpt. It definitely evokes what I think of when I think of the pack. And then the straps are a separate piece molded in green, and I feel like it should be softer than this. It feels tough. In fact, after putting it on once, I'm getting some stress marks right there. And as I push it out, you can see that it's torn a bit. Right here, you have this tab with this hole, and then the peg. That also was put together in the package. And when I first pulled it apart, you can see the peg stressing a little bit too. So basically, I'm saying be careful whenever you're putting this on here. You want to thread the arm through first and then kind of work the head in. And I think that's where I stress that. This gets caught on the underarm, and then you're trying to go over the head, and that's where it starts tearing and stretching that. And there is a peg to plug into the back. You want to do that first to get the pack as close to the back as possible. And then it's just a simple push that onto the peg. And that does look good. Again, I feel like these should be softer to conform to the body a bit better, but at the same time, that doesn't look bad. And it's nice and secure with the peg going into the back and these around the shoulders. I don't like that though. And then there is the wand. Again, a nice sculpt, a little bit of silver painted on in pieces, but otherwise, again, molded in that dark gray plastic. The cable's running out of the end of that around to here, and in the package, it was attached to this, but it is just a peg you plug back in. And I think they did that so it can rotate around, because once again, this isn't as soft as I thought it would be. It's not a pain in the ass, but it definitely limits where you can put the wand. Like, I kept trying to put this on the shoulder earlier for well, of course it's going to do it now. Maybe because I rotated this or something. It kept feeling like this was in the way. And it's pretty easy to get into a two-handed pose. No stream though, that comes with Winston. But if you want them more in a neutral position, there is a hole on the bottom of the wand that plugs right there on the pack. Cable's sticking up a little bit, but again, that's not too bad. One of the things about this figure is that it is deceptively small. We were told at Toy Fair they were 6-inch. We went down to see them in the display and thought, oh, yep, that looks awesome. That'll be perfect. But get the figure in hand, and it is actually 5 7/8 inches tall, and that's to the top of his hair, when Harold Ramis was actually 6'2", so slightly small for 1/12 scale. And that's actually smaller than the Mattel's offerings for Ghostbusters back in the day. I like the sculpt and stance of Hasbro. Okay, stance, that was not on purpose, I swear. But I like the overall look of Hasbro's better than the Mattel. Mattel's a bit animated looking, and they have the separate glasses that ride all over the place. I actually had to go digging in my son's room to find that, along with this. Here it is with a Diamond Select Money Bank Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man. And that's probably seen better days. It's been in the sun, it's been in a toy box, it's been played with heavily. I of course expected it to be small next to figures like the Marvel Legends Endgame Captain America and the Black Widow movie Black Widow, but it's even small compared to lines that are closer to 6-inch like the SH Figuarts Infinity War Captain America and Black Widow, or the SH Figuarts Star Wars Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. Egon should be looking Han in the eye, not Luke. And then next to another another Hasbro line that debuted this year, the G.I. Joe Classified Series Snake Eyes and Duke. So at the end of the day, it's very nice to have an Egon on the shelf, but I don't know how deep I'm going to go into this line. It definitely scratches that itch. And at first I thought, and I'm definitely guilty of this a lot, of thinking that, oh no, it's too small, it won't fit in with my other properties. You know, characters from other lines. And while it's a shame that it's not 1/12 scale, I have to catch myself and think, wait, I don't mix lines together on the shelves anyway. Some people do that, and that's not a problem. But for my own collecting, I like to have groups of the properties separated from each other. So I guess in that aspect, I would like to have the 4 main guys at least, and I'm still interested in seeing how they stack up next to each other. I don't think I need the rest of the characters. I don't need the ghosts or the dogs or anything. And that's okay. I don't have to be a completist in every line. I'm not a complete. Hell, I just found the Age of Apocalypse Marvel Legends wave, and I bought 3 figures from it. I didn't buy the whole wave, and I feel like that's progress. I don't need to buy everything I see. Now I'm trying to figure out the reasoning as to why they may have made this a smaller scale, and all I can think of is maybe an eventual Ecto-1. In order to be true 1/12 scale, Egon would need to have another 1/2 inch of height on this figure. So making him smaller, making the others smaller, that would mean a slightly smaller car. And while I think there should have been softer plastics used in places, maybe even rubbery, it's not the sculpting or the engineering that's putting me off the line. It's just making me realize that I'm not a big enough fan to go too deep into this line. But I'm a big enough fan to want the 4 main guys. Does that make sense? Maybe? As long as the line stays in scale with themselves, you know, between Dana and Venkman and Ray and Winston and Egon, then there's nothing wrong with it being slightly smaller. I don't think. We'll see how much shit I talk whenever I actually see them in person and think, oh, I need those. So if you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus if you're interested in seeing videos early or just in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh.